Alrighty, so welcome everyone. Very much looking forward to this one. A few weeks ago I came up with this crazy idea to run a podcast channel by my company at Bigtincan, but also to discuss those challenges in enablement. And I spoke to the marketing team about it and they said, hey, that's a great idea. And here we are now actually delivering that podcast. And this is your introduction to what to expect over the next few weeks and months. So welcome to Enablement Uncanned. My name's Jack Naish, and if you are looking for a cookie cutter, highly polished, corporate friendly podcast, you're most certainly going to be in the wrong place. So let's get this straight to begin with. I'm not an enabler. I'm not an enablement director. I don't work physically in enablement. I don't create playbooks, and I definitely don't spend my time obsessing over LMSs. I'm a sales guy, right? I work in sales. I have done my entire career. And I sell to enablement teams, and I see firsthand what works, what doesn't, and where the gaps typically are. And that's exactly what someone who sees the whole picture can actually help with a podcast like this. The fresh take on enablement, understanding the connections between sales, marketing, and leadership, and the role enablement actually plays in driving success. So what makes this podcast different? Well, for starters, my career didn't exactly go in a straight line, as I'm sure many listeners and watchers, if you are watching me here, follows the same pattern. I actually have a degree in geology, believe it or not. So I used to study rocks, which is super, I don't know if interesting is the right word. I used to think it was interesting, not so much now. So yeah, rocks. I thought I'd be out there now studying tectonic shifts, but instead, I'm dealing with the seismic changes in enablement over the last sort of 4 or 5 years. So it turns out understanding pressure and unpredictable landscapes is actually useful, both in geology and in sales. And enablement, I should say. Before that, when I was a little bit younger, so we're sort of going back sort of 15, 20 years now, I actually spent some time on the stage, performing, presenting, singing, dancing, keeping an audience actually engaged. So it turns out those skills are just as important in sales and enablement as they are under the spotlight. Whether you're delivering a pitch, running a training session, or just trying to get buy-in for a new initiative, which we all know is super difficult, storytelling and engagement are absolutely everything, as you know. So what is Enablement Uncanned all about? So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going beyond the usual sales enablement chatter. We're going to be talking about the real stuff, the secrets, the uncanned stories, and the things no one likes to say out loud. Things like, why do so many enablement programs fail? Why do sales reps tend to ignore the training they're given? I promise that's not me. If you're listening here, Bigtincan enablement team. Why do sales reps actually struggle finding content, doing and spending time on actually selling? And who actually owns enablement? We know over the last sort of few months of research and looking and going to events, enablement teams typically find it difficult to have a seat at the table. What happens when a big enablement rollout completely flops? It happens more often than you think. And let's actually talk about AI, because whether you love it or whether you fear it, it's already beginning to change the game. So I'm going to be talking to enablement leaders, sales experts, and industry insiders, people with real, uncensored, and uncanned experiences. Expect stories about what went wrong, what went right, and what we'd all wish we'd known a lot sooner. Because let's be honest, some of the best lessons come from the mistakes that we don't usually talk about. And yep, AI is definitely getting involved. I'm sure some of you have seen it, particularly doing the rounds on LinkedIn. We are going to be experimenting with AI-generated episodes, because if AI is going to shake up sales enablement, we might as well put it to the test. You'll be pleased to know what you're seeing and listening to now is totally real, so there's no AI involved just yet. Now, if you're wondering about the schedule, well, let's just call it sort of flexible. There's not going to be a forced content, there's not going to be a forced timeline to sort of release these episodes. No filter, just real conversations when they're ready. I'm aiming for around about one live podcast like this with an actual industry leader and an industry expert, one a month, thereabouts, and then there will be some other little bits in between. And if you think about, the platforms that you usually listen to your music on, the Enablement Uncanned podcast will be available on Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer, and all the usual platforms. So what do I, Jack here, want from you? Honestly, absolutely nothing. No sales pitch, it's completely vendor agnostic. We're going to be discussing everything and anything there is to know. No gimmicks, just tune in, listen, and be part of the conversation. Because this isn't just another enablement podcast. This is the one that we say what everyone else is thinking. Alrighty, well let's get this underway. Welcome to Enablement Uncanned.